Hello everyone, I'm Elian. Today I'll tell you the story of why the more you trust, the less you'll need to try. Sometimes, growth doesn't come from pushing harder. It comes from letting go just a little and allowing life to meet you halfway. Welcome back, my friend. I'm truly glad you're here with me. Now let's take a slow breath together. Just for a moment, forget everything you think you have to be. I want to ask you something softly. When was the last time you gave yourself permission to stop trying so hard? It's a strange question, isn't it? Especially in a world that tells you to always do more. Work harder, study longer, push past your limits. And if you're learning English, you've probably felt that pressure too. I should speak more fluently. Why am I not improving faster? I need to study harder. But today, I want to offer you a different kind of space. A quieter one. A more trusting one. Because maybe the thing you need most right now is not more effort, but more faith in yourself, in your process, in your quiet becoming. I believe that when we truly trust, we stop gripping life so tightly. And when we let go, just a little, we create space for the most beautiful kind of change. So before we begin, if this podcast feels helpful to you, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if it truly brings something warm to your day. And I'd love to know, where are you listening from? What time is it where you are? Let's build this peaceful little circle across the globe, one gentle moment at a time. Now let's begin. I want to start with something simple but powerful. Trying too hard doesn't always help you grow faster. In fact, sometimes it blocks the very growth you're hoping for. Have you ever tried to relax by forcing yourself to relax? It doesn't work. And trying too hard to get it right in life can actually take you further from peace. The truth is, we often confuse trying harder with doing better. But real growth, emotional growth, language growth, self-growth, comes when effort meets ease. And that ease only appears when you trust. Trust that you're not falling behind. Trust that your heart knows how to bloom. Trust that your English, your life, yourself is unfolding, even now. So today, in this episode, we'll explore why too much effort can block growth, what trust really means, how to build inner safety without constant control, what surrender looks like in real life, and how your deepest strength comes when you let go. By the end of this journey, I hope you'll feel a little lighter, a little clearer, and more at home in yourself, just as you are. Let's continue. Because the more you trust, the less you'll need to try. Section 2. When effort becomes pressure. Let's talk about something many people carry quietly, especially those who want to grow, learn, and improve. The feeling that you're not doing enough. Maybe you felt this too. You're learning English. You show up, you study, you try. But some part of you whispers, try harder. It's not enough. You should be better by now. And even though you're already giving so much, you keep pushing. There's a strange thing about pressure. It feels like motivation at first. But slowly, quietly, it turns into self-doubt. You start to believe that if you stop trying, even for a moment, everything will fall apart. And that belief can become exhausting. Let me say something clearly. Trying is beautiful. Effort is powerful. But pressure is something else. Pressure is fear pretending to be disciplined. It says, if I don't control this, I'll fail. If I don't keep pushing, I'll be left behind. It turns your personal growth into a race. Your language journey into a competition. Your life into a constant test you're afraid to fail. But the truth is, you're not a machine, that you're a human being. And your growth doesn't need to be measured in speed. When a flower blooms, it doesn't force itself open. It trusts the sunlight, that it lets warmth and time do their work. What if you allowed yourself to grow like that? What if instead of asking, am I trying hard enough, you asked, am I trusting myself enough? Because pressure often tells you that safety only comes when you're doing more. But trust tells you that safety can live inside you, even when you pause. Let's pause here and ask softly, where does that pressure in you come from? Is it your inner voice? Is it the expectations of others? Is it the fear of falling behind? Maybe, when you were younger, someone told you that rest was lazy, that pausing meant weakness, that slowing down would make you invisible. But my friend, what if rest is where your heart finds strength? What if slowing down is where your mind finds clarity? Sometimes you don't need more motivation. You need more permission to just be. Here's something that changed the way I see growth. Effort works best when it's rooted in care, not fear. Trying because you love something, that's nurturing. Trying because you're afraid to disappoint someone, that's anxiety. Learning English because it connects you to others, that's joy. Learning English because you're scared of being judged, that's pressure. See the difference? One comes from the heart, the other comes from the wound. And when effort comes from a wound, it drains you. But when it comes from love, it restores you. So the next time you feel that urge to push harder, pause. Ask yourself, am I growing right now? Or just surviving? Am I building something with love? Or trying not to fail? This kind of self-awareness doesn't stop your journey. It deepens it. Because true growth isn't about doing more. It's about doing things from a place that feels peaceful inside. And here's a little truth I want to place in your pocket. You're already doing enough simply by showing up. Even on the days when you don't feel productive. Even when your progress feels invisible. Even when you rest, you are growing. Not by force, but by trust that let's keep walking. Section 3. The hidden strength in letting go. Letting go sounds simple, but if you've ever tried to let go of control, you'll know it can feel like the hardest thing in the world. Why? Because deep down, many of us believe that control keeps us safe. If I plan everything perfectly, if I never miss a study session, if I stay alert all the time, then I'll be okay. It feels like the more we hold on, the better our chances are. But what if the opposite is true? What if strength doesn't always come from holding tighter, but from loosening your grip? Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine someone standing in a river, holding tightly onto a rock. The water flows fast. It's cold and strong. They hold on because they're afraid they'll be swept away. But what they don't see is this. Just a few feet downstream, the river becomes calm and wide. Safe, even if they let go, just for a moment. They'd float there naturally, but they don't know that they stay stuck, shivering, exhausted from holding on. That's what we do too. We cling to routines, schedules, expectations, anything that gives us the illusion of control. But real peace often lives just past the point of surrender. Trust means you stop fighting every moment. You allow things to unfold without needing to master them. That's not easy. Especially if life has taught you that being careful is the only way to avoid pain. Maybe people have disappointed you. Maybe you've had to take care of yourself since you were very young. Maybe relaxing feels dangerous because something bad might happen. So of course, letting go feels risky. But here's the truth. You're not that child anymore. You're not as fragile as you used to be. And life is not always preparing to hurt you. What if, just for today, you didn't brace for the worst? What if you allowed something good to happen without earning it? There was a time when I was teaching back-to-back classes every day. I was constantly planning, prepping, correcting, pushing. It made me feel productive, useful even. But deep down, I was afraid. Afraid that if I didn't work hard enough, I'd lose everything I'd built. Afraid that if I didn't control every part of my teaching, my students wouldn't learn. Then one day, I lost my voice, literally. I had to cancel classes. I couldn't speak for days, and something unexpected happened why students kept studying without me. They practiced together. They helped each other. They even checked in on me. And I realized something simple but life-changing. I'm not the only source of growth. Why effort matters. But so does space, so does rest, so does trust. When you let go, you don't lose control. You allow a deeper wisdom to take over. You trust that your body knows how to heal, that your brain knows how to learn in its own rhythm, that your heart knows when it's ready to open again. Letting go isn't weakness, that it's intelligence, that it's emotional maturity, that it's the moment you stop trying to force a flower to bloom and start creating the conditions for it to grow. Let this land softly in your heart. You don't need to carry everything all the time. Some things can carry you. The moment, the language, the silence between words, the kindness of someone you trust, even this podcast for a few minutes can carry you. Let it. You don't have to always be the strong one, that you don't have to always be in control. You are allowed to soften and still be powerful, because your strength is not only in effort, it's in your ability to surrender and still be safe. Let's walk into that safety together. Let's explore what it means to stop bracing for life and start receiving it. Because remember, the more you trust, the less you'll need to try. Section 4. You are still growing, even when it feels slow. There's a moment that happens quietly in many people's lives. The moment when they begin to wonder, am I stuck? It can feel so subtle at first. You wake up, go through your day, do what you're supposed to do, but some part of you whispers, why am I not further by now? You look around. You see people who seem more fluent, more successful, more free, and even though you've been trying, it still feels like you're behind. That feeling, that silent sadness, is one of the heaviest things to carry. And if you felt it too, I want you to know something very simple, but very true. You are still growing, even when it doesn't feel like it. Growth is rarely loud. It doesn't always show up in the mirror. It doesn't always shout, look at me, you're doing great. Most growth is invisible, like a tree in winter. Its branches are bare. Its leaves are gone. From the outside, it looks dead. But underground, the roots are moving. They're stretching deeper, finding water, anchoring strength in that quiet space. The tree prepares for spring. You're like that too. Even in your quietest, most uncertain seasons, something in you is still reaching, still preparing, still becoming. We live in a world obsessed with results. Show me what you've done. Prove your progress. Be faster. Be more productive. But your heart doesn't grow on a schedule. Your English fluency doesn't unfold on a spreadsheet. Your healing doesn't follow a deadline. Real change is slow, gentle, and deeply personal. The fact that you can understand this podcast right now in English is proof of that. Think about that for a moment, that you're listening to a full episode in a second language. That's incredible. You might not feel fluent. You might not be perfect, but look how far you've come. This is progress. Even if no one else sees it, I see it, and I'm proud of you. There's a kind of wisdom that lives inside slow growth. It teaches you patience. It teaches you humility. It teaches you how to listen to yourself, not just your goals. And when you stop demanding instant results, you begin to hear something softer. Your true pace, not the one society pushes, not the one perfectionism shouts, but your own rhythm, your own breath, your own quiet unfolding. And that pace is enough. There was a student of mine, I'll call her Anna. She studied English for years and still felt like she wasn't improving. Her grammar was solid. Her vocabulary was wide, but whenever she spoke, she froze. Her mind would go blank. She told me, maybe I'm not meant to be fluent. Maybe I'm just slow, but I saw something different. I saw someone who had spent her whole life rushing, who had learned to push through everything, emotions, fears, exhaustion. And now, she was tired to SO. Instead of giving her more exercises, I gave her space. I encouraged her to speak slowly, without pressure, to pause between thoughts, to speak to herself in English with kindness, not judgment. And over time, she began to relax. And as she relaxed, her fluency began to rise, not because she worked harder, but because she trusted herself more. Fluency had been there all along. It was just waiting for her to feel safe enough to let it out. Maybe you're like Anna. Maybe your growth isn't missing. Maybe it's just hidden beneath a layer of pressure. Let's lift that pressure, let's trust that what's meant to come will come. in its own time. You don't have to rush. You don't have to prove anything, because even if you can't feel it today, you are still growing. Right now, that I end this moment, through this breath. Even this, listening, feeling, reflecting, this is progress, that you're becoming fluent in more than language, that you're becoming fluent in your own life, that I in your own worth, that I in your own gentleness. So if no one's told you lately, you're not behind, that you're not broken, that you're not lost. You're just in the quiet part of becoming. Trust it. Stay with it. Let it unfold, because soon, without trying, without force, you'll wake up and realize, I understand more. I speak more freely, that I feel more like myself. And it won't be because you pushed harder. It'll be because you trusted your pace and let the roots grow deep. Let's keep going. Section 5. When trust feels like a risk and still matters. It's easy to talk about trust like it's something soft and sweet. But the truth is, real trust often feels like a risk, especially when life has given you reasons to be cautious. Maybe someone promised you support and didn't show up. Maybe you worked hard for something and it still fell apart. Maybe you've tried to believe in yourself before and ended up disappointed. So when I say trust, I'm not asking you to forget all that. I'm asking if you're willing to open a small door inside. Not because everything is perfect, but because you're tired of carrying everything alone, that there's a part of you that wants to believe. That your effort matters, that your voice matters. That the life you're building, slowly, patiently, is real, but there might also be a part of you that's scared. What if I stop trying so hard and everything falls apart? What if I trust the process and nothing changes? What if I trust myself and fail again? These are honest questions, important ones. And still, there's something deeper waiting underneath them, because sometimes you don't need to be more confident. You just need to be more tired of fear than you are loyal to it. Let me tell you something that surprised me about trust. It doesn't always feel peaceful. Sometimes it feels like standing at the edge of a cliff with no guarantee that you'll land softly. But every time I've taken that emotional leap, every time I've trusted the process or another person or even myself, I've discovered something surprising. I don't fall, that I float. The moment I stop bracing for the worst, my body softens, that my mind quiets, and life feels just a little more possible. That's the thing about trust. It doesn't make problems disappear, but makes you more available to meet them, gently, wisely, without panic. You see, trust isn't blind, that it's not about pretending everything will be fine, that it's about saying, even if I don't know how this will go, I'm still going to walk forward. It's about walking through uncertainty and keeping your heart open anyway. Not because you're sure, but because you're brave, and you are. If you're listening to this episode, if you've made it through everything you've already survived, you have courage in you already, the quiet kind. The kind that doesn't need applause. And maybe it's time to use a little bit of that courage to stop trying so hard and start trusting more deeply. How do we actually practice trust? Not as an idea, but as a real part of daily life. Here are a few quiet ways. Trust your rhythm. If you're tired, rest. If you're curious, explore. Let your body and spirit guide your pace, not guilt. Trust your English. Speak even if you make mistakes. You're allowed to sound like a learner. That's how fluency grows, through real use, not perfection. Trust other people gently. Share your thoughts with someone safe. Let yourself be seen in small ways. You don't have to heal alone. Trust the quiet. Growth often happens in the pauses, between conversations, between lessons, between the doing. Trusting doesn't mean ignoring the hard things. It means choosing not to fight yourself through every step of the journey. One of my students once said to me, "Trust feels dangerous because it means I have to stop protecting myself all the time." I nodded, and then I asked her, "But who protects you when you're exhausted from protecting yourself?" She paused. She didn't have an answer. That's when we began to explore a new kind of safety. One not built on constant control, but on quiet, stable belief that she didn't need to earn peace by overworking for it. That it was okay to let some things come without chasing them. I want to offer you that same idea. You don't have to be hyper alert all the time. You don't have to grip every moment. You're allowed to soften. The people who told you that trust is weakness, they were wrong. Because trusting, especially after you've been hurt, is one of the most courageous things a person can do. And every time you do it, even in tiny ways, you reclaim a little more freedom. So if trust still feels risky, that's okay. It is a risk, but it's one worth taking. Because the more you trust, the less you'll need to try. And the more you'll be able to simply live. Before we close today, I want to invite you to take one soft breath. Inhale and exhale. No need to be anyone else right now. No need to hurry. No need to fix. Just for this moment. You are safe. You are growing. You are allowed to be exactly where you are. If this episode has touched something inside you, feel free to leave a comment. Share where you're listening from and what time it is where you are. It's always so meaningful to see how connected we truly are. Different languages, different places, but one peaceful moment shared together. Until next time, keep trusting, keep becoming, and remember, you are never behind. You are always on your way.